Steelers are making moves. The 49ers are making moves. The Falcons are making moves. The Chiefs and maybe the Jets. The Texans as well, as are the Bengals and the Browns. No Seahawks moves yet. A listener question, Bump. Should I be nervous that we haven't heard anything about the Seahawks yet? I get the FOMO that you're probably feeling. But, Bump, what do you think?
Yeah, a little nervous.
A little nervous?
Just a little bit.
The legal tampering window has only just barely cracked open and you're nervous?
Yeah, because you want to see your team be active. Niners are active. You see what they're doing over there, right? But you should be nervous and you shouldn't, because you understand how the Seahawks do business. They're not, you got videos of people where they open up like a venue and people are rushing to their seat. The Hawks are the ones chilling in the parking lot pre-funk and being like, all right, we're going to chill for a little bit. Let the crowd die down, and then we'll make our way because we know exactly where our seats are. We know what we're doing. That's the approach the Seahawks take to these situations. So, yeah, be nervous because you see what's going on, but then calm yourself down and just understand your organization and how they do business.
Or like they're the people on the airplane that when the airplane stops and a lot of people stand up, they're like, we're not going anywhere. I'm not even standing up yet.
I cannot understand that.
Why people stand up immediately? Yeah. I know. Well, because I think part of it is that you've been sitting for so long, so you stand up just to be like, I can stand. Like I can get up and stand.
If that's it, cool.
No, but that's not really what it is. What it is it's people thinking they can get in line.
And I don't like when people in the back roll 32, work your way up to the front before the doors even open. It's like, no, you paid for seat 32. You exit when 32 exits.
Do you ever like get up and stop them and say, listen, 32?
Nah, I'm not that guy.
It's me, 16. Go back where you belong in steerage. You know what, Bump? Here's how I feel about it. If the Seahawks weren't looking at 4 picks over the first 2 rounds, and if they did not have 5 overall, I'd be almost angry. Yeah. Because I'd be looking at a defense that was pretty horrific at times last year, painful to watch at times last year. And not only that, but maybe moving on from Poona Ford, who's an unrestricted free agent, will be reportedly releasing Shelby Harris. Won't have Jordan Brooks ready week 1 in all likelihood. Maybe moving on from Cody Barton. I'd be looking at this defense saying they're losing guys, they need help, and you haven't made moves. Something about having the 5th overall pick, thinking you may get Carter or Anderson, helps a little bit. A little bit of a salve in terms of, helping with some of the anxiety that I understand people might normally be feeling. But you also know that you need more than that. So when I see people get kind of anxious now, when they don't hear anything, I know that it's because they have a lot of things they can get. Like, okay, you aren't going to be able to get a frontline center. Oh, Jason Kelsey going back to Philadelphia. That's one thing I forgot to tell you guys. You know that you may have to bargain shop to get a center. Okay, well, you kind of want to hear about something. You can't address everything in the draft. I know you got a lot of picks, but you can't address everything. So, is this going to be a second wave kind of thing?
And look at the people who are making the moves right now. They are typically outside the top 10. Carolina, they made their move via draft, right? But we're talking about this legal tampering period that we're in. Houston hasn't made a move. Arizona hasn't. The Colts, the Seahawks, Detroit hasn't.
Not major moves.
Vegas signed Jimmy, but that was necessary. Yeah. Atlanta hasn't. So for the most part, if you're in the top 10, you're sitting back and you're saying, okay, we got some equity in this draft. We don't have the same dire need to make a move as these other organizations.
One more thing I'll throw in. They did re-sign Geno. I'm going to go ahead and count that not as adding an outside free agent, but I'm going to go ahead and say re-signing Geno, you got to figure out some of your cap situation. They've created cap room by releasing Gabe Jackson and Shelby Harris. So we know they're creating cap room, and also that they've solidified their biggest offseason question, which is, what are you doing at quarterback? So at least 2 things they have done or are working on. Next is just, okay, well, what do you do? So let's, in the next 3 minutes here, what positions would we like to see them address ideally in free agency? We know that there are some that are going to have to be both in the draft and free agency. So I guess what I'm thinking is, what are some positions where you're like, you probably should go to free agency for this instead of the draft, so I'd like to see this position added.
Linebacker. You need a veteran linebacker out there. Jordan Brooks is gone. He has the green dot. There's an adjustment period that happens when you are the Mike linebacker and you are responsible for making calls and making sure everyone is on the same page. You just got to process a lot of information. Not saying that rookies can't do it. There are linebackers who do it in college, but the game is just different. So what do you replace a veteran with a veteran, someone who knows what they're doing. So I would address linebacker. Again, and that's a position, like you mentioned, you're going to address both. You're going to address it during free agency and in the draft. But you want to get a veteran in free agency just to take some pressure off the young guy that I think that they're going to draft.
The only other position I have a question about, center. Like, again, defensive line, you're going to need to do both. With center, I would love to see a center drafted and maybe work out so that you just have that guy and you have 4 out of 5 positions where you know exactly what you're going to do in a couple years. But I also wonder if they might turn to bargain shopping once again at center just because they have other needs on defense.